The Wife Carrying World Championships has wrapped up. In today's episode, we're going to dive into who won, who got injured, and what this means for the Olympics 2028. Let's jump right into it. Okay, the Wife Carrying World Championships has just wrapped up here in beautiful Finland. First of all, what is wife carrying? Okay, I want you to think about a Nordic sport. If you were a Viking, what sport would the gods bestow upon you? If Thor and Odin came down to this human realm and granted mortal man a sport, what would it be? First of all, they would look at how dumb mortal men truly are. They would see something like this, and they would say, oh, that's a simple creature. What could we do to entertain them in their free time? And they'd say, I bet he just likes to get wrecked. That moron probably loves beer. Not even wine, certainly not champagne, but that thing likes beer. Now, what else does that thing like to go with the beer? Pretty basic creature, probably likes women. So it's a dude who likes beer and women. That's this sport. Wife carrying has traditionally been a race in which a man carries a woman over an obstacle course, and the prize is the woman's weight in beer. But the sport has changed quite a bit over the last few years, and I'm very proud to say that I am one of the pioneers of the change, but we'll come to that in a minute. This year at the Wife Carrying World Championships, what were the results? What did we see? We are going to show you in one moment. Here we go. First of all, we are going to start by learning the first lesson of what is best in life and wife carrying.
Wrong! Conan, what is best in life? Crush your enemies, see them driven before you, and hear the lamentation of your women.
Absolutely. Thank you, Arnold. Thank you. So this is what wife carrying looks like. This is a picture from the North American Championships last year. That is yours truly running through the mud. It was a hell of a day. It was raining. It was sloppy. Thor was throwing down thunder and lightning at us. He was pissing on us from the sky, and God bless him. God bless Thor. So when we're talking about the prize that the couple receives, the woman's weight in beer, what does that look like? It is set up on a seesaw, a teeter-totter. The girl sits on one end, and they load up beer, soda, or whatever your prize could be for that particular race on the other. And in this particular race, we got second place. Not excited about second, but the good thing about being second is that, hey, you don't have to deal with the pressure of being a winner. You can be the first loser. Everybody loves to be the first loser because nobody wants to interview you afterwards. You're just somebody who happened to be at the race as cannon fodder for the winner. And that was us. And that's why we look so happy in that picture. So what happened at the Wife Carrying World Championships this year? So there are three main races at the Wife Carrying World Championships. There is what is called the Friday night sprint, which is a small segment of the race course. Couples go off, they go through the water obstacle. On the other side of the water obstacle, there is the finish line. And they just keep running this race in heats and reps and semifinals and quarterfinals until you have the absolute winner. So for the winner, they actually go through 4 to 5 starts as the sprinter to actually make it through and win. And it's a hell of a race. It's 1/3 of the distance of the race course. The race course is approximately 250 meters. It's just shy of 3 football fields for Americans. And the sprint race will take about 40 seconds. It's somewhere in that neighborhood, but you're going all out and there's somebody on your back. And this year, the winners were the Australians. And they were studs. They brought it. They absolutely brought the fire. And I loved them. I loved their enthusiasm. And here's the Australian couple. Look at that. Look at that game face. Look at that determination. Look at that grit. He's a descendant of Vikings, I'm sure. He might be from Australia. So, I don't know, rapist and pillager, which kind of fits into this whole thing, right? Australia is full of rapists and murderers. But this dude brought the heat. And who you notice here lurking in the background, this is Taisto. Taisto is an 8-time world champion, and he is checking out the competition. Taisto doesn't waste his time with the Friday night sprint. He doesn't waste his time with the relay race, which I'll talk about in a moment. He is all about the big day. He is all about the main event, and he is scoping out these Aussies. What are these Aussies going to do? What kind of heat and speed are they going to bring? He's checking them out. He's looking at their technique. And for Taisto, that's kind of a happy face for him. He might be looking at that thinking, oh, those guys aren't too fast. I'm going to smoke them tomorrow. Taisto's a hell of a guy. He's a future Hall of Famer. So also, as part of the event this year, there was also the Hall of Fame induction ceremony. And that was what kicked off the Saturday afternoon festivities. So before the relay race, which I'll talk about in a moment, and certainly before the main event, there was the induction into the Hall of Fame. And this was absolutely mental because I couldn't believe it, but I was inducted into the Hall of Fame. And I'll share a picture of what that looked like. But I couldn't believe it that 25 years of wife carrying and I get inducted into the Hall of Fame. And this is the picture of me from the live stream. And you'll notice they call me John Load. Johnny Load. And I'm dressed like I'm straight out of Brokeback Mountain. Was it a typo? Or have I been typecast as some kind of gay cowboy whore in the world of wife carrying? And the reality is, we don't know. I feel like there is a bit of a typecast issue here because I've been doing this sport for 25 years and I've gone through some phases. And when I was younger, I might have been a man whore. And you can see me here as Brokeback Johnny Load. Maybe it's a throwback to my younger days. Maybe it's just a typo. But in any case, I was inductee number 4 into the Wife Carrying Hall of Fame. Also inducted this year was Julia Galvin from Ireland, who is an absolute legend in the sport. And we joined greats like Margot Usorg. Margot, of course, is the Guinness Book of World Record holder for the wife carrying race course. And he's an absolute stud in his own right. Every time he competed, he won. So we started off with the Hall of Fame induction. Next up, there was the relay race. So the relay race, how do you describe the relay race in the sport of wife carrying? It's 3 dudes, 1 chick, and a bunch of drinking. that is the relay race. So you start off, one man starts off carrying the woman, bringing her through the water obstacle, and then has to pound a half a liter of fizzy water. In the olden days, before diversity, equity, inclusion, and wokeness, it used to be beer. You used to have to drink a half a liter of beer as fast as you could. Today, it's just sparkling water. Then hand the wife over to the second runner who runs the next segment of the course. He gets to his checkpoint and he has to pound his beer, hands a girl over to the third dude who runs the last segment. He pounds his drink and then picks the girl up and crosses the finish line. Now, last year, we won. So last year, we won. We were with Joni. This is Joni Juttunen with Jana, and we were with Anssi, and he's a volleyball player. Joni is an absolute legend in the sport of wife carrying. He is 100% stud. He's been doing this since the 1990s. And he may not look fit, but this dude moves on the race course. He is literally undefeated in the relay race. He puts together the fastest team he can every year. If you want to see what Joni looks like, look at that game face. Look at that intensity. He's not messing around. This isn't fun for him. This is business. This is absolute business. He has a chick on his back and he's going full speed. There he is again. Look at that game face and determination. And somehow Joni always seems to find himself between the thighs of a very, very pretty young lady. And there could be some issues with this picture. Is this politically correct? The answer is I don't know. But I will tell you this, that if I was a woman and if I was built like that, I would be dressed like that all the time. I would be out on the streets with the shortest shorts that you could ever see, that you could ever imagine. I would be showing off those peaches. I would be splashing water. I'd walk around with a little squirt gun squirting on my cheeks to make sure that the whole world could see how perfect and round and happy and shiny they are. But the point is that this is Joni, and he's an absolute legend. But what happened this year in the race? So we're going through our warm-up. Joni is warming up on the race course. He's running, he's getting warmed up, he's getting in the zone, he's getting focused, and he pulls a hamstring. When he pulls the hamstring, he crashes to the ground and dislocates his shoulder. He crashes to the ground and dislocates his shoulder in the warm-up. Oh shit, what are we going to do? So we have to go into emergency mode. So Joni was supposed to do the water, which is my least favorite part, but now I have to step up and do the water. Elliot, also from the US, was committed to taking the middle segment because it's kind of the easiest, and he was going to perform well in the main event, so we didn't want to smoke his legs or smoke him out too much and make sure that he was ready to go for the final. So then we found Jana's husband, who was able to step up and perform the third segment of the race. And he God bless him, Thor bless him, Odin bless him, but he did it. He stepped up, and we ended up getting silver, which again, what did I say earlier? Getting second is great because nobody gives a damn about you. So I was psyched. We got second place, and I was so excited. But it was still a good day. It was still a good day. The Aussies won that again. So the Aussies won the relay. Let's see if I can find a picture of them. That's Johnny Lode getting his award. And we're going to find the Aussies because they deserve credit because they stepped up. Yes, found the Aussies. We found the Aussies. There we go. That was the Australian team. They won. So this is the same runner who won the sprint on Friday night with his partner here. And then together, they put together an Aussie team for the relay, and they won that. But then what happened in the main event? The main event was absolutely bonkers. So there were 4 legitimately fast runners in the main event. There was V from Lithuania. There was Taisto from Finland. There was Elliot from the US, and now there's the Aussie. Taisto, 8-time world champion going into this race. V, 2-time world champion going into this race. Elliot would have won last year, except he had a nasty crash. He was on pace to potentially break the course record, but he crashed. What did that look like? Check this out. Can you see this? Yeah. Here he goes. Over the log. Approaching the finish line at record pace. And boom! Boom! And crawls across the finish line. Absolute disaster. Because he certainly would have won last year. Now, in the main event this year, he ended up getting second place by 0.22 seconds. Taisto was less than a half a second behind him, and V came in to secure his third victory, his third championship title. And it was an absolute barn burner of a race. The races were all within fractions of a second. And there's V and his wife claiming victory. Absolutely amazing. He is now retired. He is not going to compete anymore. He's going out on a high note. He took his third world championship title by the grace of Thor, by the grace of Crom, and he's done. He is absolutely done, and he deserves it. He absolutely deserves to walk away from this. Taisto, who has been racing now for almost 30 years, is not done. This guy will not quit until he's in the grave, and he deserves maximum respect for that. If you go on the Facebook page for wife carrying, you will see all kinds of mental pictures. There's Taisto. So for those out there looking to sponsor a wife carrying race or sponsor an athlete, you actually write on the feet of the women. Imagine your logo on that foot going through the pool. Yeah, that's right. Sponsors, hello, make some money off this. Right there. You can see her head. She can't breathe, but she's probably going to live. She's probably going to live. I don't know. Maybe she won't. It's not my problem. The most important thing is that you win the race. And there is Super Wife Carrying Man, yours truly. I think this was 2010, where I did a Super Wife Carrying Man routine and jumped into the water to save Lois. There's Lois over there. And that's Barack Obama. For some reason, he's hanging out. And that is what the pool looks like. The pool is concrete in the bottom. And unfortunately, when we were competing in the relay race, and I went through the water obstacle, I took a bad landing. And I twisted my knee, and I was not able to do the main race afterwards. So we did a Brokeback Mountain theme with Stefanie, where we were the happiest, gayest cowboys you have ever seen in your life, and tried to make the world a better place by giving candy to children, because that's what every Brokeback cowboy should do. But Steph, anything you want to say about your experience in the Wife Carrying World Championships this year?
I never realized how exhausting it is running the course, actually, while hopping. Well, yes, when we were running the course, because I had to run next to you this year, since you were not able to carry me. So I had to hop all the way, like the course, and throwing out candies. And after that, I felt exhausted. I'm like, how is this possible? I am normally training and working out, but this is still exhausting, and I don't even carry anyone on my back. So yes, it's interesting, and I think everybody who does the course or runs this course needs to have some kind of respect. Although it's a fun, but it's also like exhausting. And I realized that just this year, because previously I just was hanging on you, so that was easier.
It's funny you say that, because whenever anybody does this race for the first time, their initial feedback at the end of it is, oh, that was hard. That was hard. Like, I didn't think that was going to be so hard. It's like, because it looks stupid, it doesn't mean it's easy. You're running, okay? So like the average person like can't run, right? Have you seen people today? Like they're not very fit. So there's a running aspect. There's a person on your back, okay? And that person is squiggling around and moving and whatever. And then there's an obstacle course. And everybody's always surprised, like, oh, that's kind of hard. Huh, I'm actually kind of tired. It's like, yeah, like you might look like an idiot doing it, but that doesn't mean it's easy. It's like, think about the Olympics. Think about swimming in the Olympics. They make it look easy. Phelps makes it look so easy. He's like, oh yeah, just going out for a casual swim in the pool. But like, he's working pretty hard. His heart rate is over 200. Right? Lactic acid is pumping through his veins and his body, and he's burning, but he makes it look easy. So yeah, well, wife carrying is a tough sport. I encourage everybody to go out and try it. Grab a chick, grab a dude, grab somebody to carry, and go to the race.
But also have a look that this person is as light as possible, because you want to be fast. And if the person is too heavy, you won't be that fast, and then you maybe won't get the beer and so on. So there's some kind of juggling you need to think of, or what you want to do. Do you want to be fast and have a heavier person, or do you want to have a lighter person and be fast? I think I said something wrong, but I think you get it what I mean, right?
The prize is the woman's weight in beer, so I want my chick to be as heavy as possible so that I can win as much beer as possible, but not slow me down so that I lose the race. That's what it's about. And at the starting line, there's some intensity. There's some intensity at the starting line. So different races have different formats. This is the UK Championships. This is from 2023. This is a longer course. There's no water trench, but there are psychos throwing buckets of water at you. And this is what it looks like at this mass start. Boom. And there's V. Look at that. He's off like a fucking bullet. There's yours truly, sitting in a very comfortable third place. And you can't see this guy here. That's Alex. Alex has won the UK Championships a couple times. And on this particular day, V won. I got second, once again, because we like to get second, because I don't want to do interviews afterwards. I don't want to be famous. Just happy being the best loser at the entire event, the #1 loser. Thank you. And let V take all the glory. But the point is that there are game faces here. And it's like at the starting line of a wife carrying race, it's like you're a gladiator getting ready to go into the Roman Colosseum to do battle, right? It's like you're a paratrooper about to jump out of an airplane into enemy territory and just kill some dudes. You have your fucking bayonet. You are locked and loaded. You're going to be killing some people when you land. Or maybe it's like you're an actress getting ready to go into an audition with Harvey Weinstein, right? And it's like there could be some fighting involved. You don't know, but it's like you're in that zone and you're going to do some battle when you need to. Look at that. Boom. Right over. Right over. I was just sitting back in that race. No rush. No rush. It's a long race. Some people wear costumes. We've been there. So speaking of Harvey Weinstein, I think we need to talk about the dirty side of this sport. And we need to be honest. We need to reveal the dirt on wife carrying. There is diversity, equity, inclusion that is prominent in wife carrying nowadays. And I think it wasn't always there, but we are pioneers of the diversity, equity, and inclusion. And I'm going to start by showing a little bit about that. So before people blow up and get all upsetsy doodles at me, let me show that I believe wife carrying. Can you see the picture I'm trying to share? Yes, I believe you can. That I am the first man who was ever carried in a wife carrying race.
Are you joking her? This looks like you are joking her. Oh, poor woman. What happened here? Were you scared? What? I think you need to explain that a little bit, because this looks like you are joking a woman.
That's part of diversity, equity, inclusion. Sometimes you choke each other. That's what love is. Okay? So the point here is not that I'm choking her. And by the way, I have her face grayed out only because I have no idea if she even wants this recognition. She may not. She probably hates me because clearly I'm choking her. And maybe there's a PTSD factor in this whole thing. But I'll have you know that she set the course record for a woman because she was the first woman to ever do this. And she was an absolute champion. Thank you. Thank you. So the point that I'm trying to make here is that in the sport of wife carrying, rape and pillage is a very progressive concept. And this is something that I think is going to divide the left and right on the topic of wife carrying. Okay, this is going to be controversial, and I think that's okay. We simply need to dig into this issue and solve it because it's a very serious issue to me. All right. The right, the political right, the far right, the MAGA right, has a traditional idea, traditional notion of rape and pillage. They always believe that it has to be a man and a woman, and the man is raping the woman. And what I'm here to tell you today is that in the sport of wife carrying, which is very progressive, the rape and pillage tradition is very different. And we also know from historical artifacts today that 1,000+ years ago, when the Vikings were invading Ireland and the UK and Scotland and England, that women were also there doing the raping and the pillaging. However, the MAGA right and the extreme right in the United States and in other parts of the world have tried to cover that up. And what I want to do right now is share that women can carry men in wife-carrying races, and they can also rape and pillage just as well as a white man can. I'm here to smash the patriarchy. All right, so let's jump into this because this is getting real. And Steph, you look confused. Is there a thought you'd like to share before we really dive into this?
No, it's like I'm baffled. I don't have any words. I just have this picture in my head now. You being carried by a woman, which I think is great. Don't get me wrong, but you could have been a little bit more gentle with her and not strangling her. Maybe you were scared while you were in the water pit, that she would drown you or something like that. I get it. But yeah, let's see where this story is going to, what you want to tell us today. And I'm really curious, to be honest.
Thank you. It's a beautiful story. It's my #MeToo moment in wife carrying, and it actually shows what a beautiful sport wife carrying is and how it includes people from all different cultures, walks of life to take on different roles and different functions. That this is not just the white male patriarchy that is committing raping and sexual assault, but it can also be a woman who commits sexual assault. So let me dive into this. So this, I'm not sure if I ever told you the story. So this could be a reaction moment as well. This was well over 10 years ago, and I'm not going to state the location. I'm not going to state where it was. I'm not going to state who the people were that were involved. But I was at a wife-carrying race, okay? And there was a lady at that wife-carrying race who I thought was my friend. She was driving me around the area. She had a car. I did not have a car. I needed transportation. She picked me up from the local train station, drove me to my hotel, drove me to the race, drove me around. It was very cool, got me food. After the race was over, she was still driving me around and taking me to parties, and it was great. And she was making sure that I had plenty of alcohol to drink, and she got me extremely intoxicated. Okay, she was not drinking. She was driving, so I didn't even think anything of it. She's just feeding me drinks, and she's driving. And it was pretty late. It was probably about 2 o'clock in the morning. And I was like, hey, we're in the car. She was driving to another party. And I was like, I don't want to go to the party. I just want to go back to the hotel. I've been drinking for like 8 hours, because back then I was a party boy. I was like, I just want to go back to the hotel. I don't need to go to any more parties. I just need to go to sleep. And I started falling asleep in the front seat of the car. And she turns to me and she hits me. She physically strikes me with her hand. And she says, you better not fall asleep. I'm going to fuck you. And I was like, what? She's like, if you think you're going to fall asleep, I will pull over on the side of the road and fuck you right here. This is a true story. I swear to God, I'm not making this up. And like, I was completely shocked, because I did not view her that way. It isn't why I was in the car with her. I thought we were just friends. Like it wasn't even in my friggin' field of view that something like this would happen. I'll never forget that. You better not fall asleep, because if you do, I'm going to pull over on the side of the road and fuck you right here. But this is beautiful, because this shows that the sport lets women rape and pillage the same way men have traditionally raped and pillaged. That there is no longer that glass ceiling. That women can also aspire to be rapists and sexual assailants in this sport. And the right, the MAGA right, the hardcore right, is going to dispute that. And they're going to say, no, women should not be allowed to do that. And I'm very progressive in my views. And I think, no, women should be allowed to do that. Rape and pillage should not be for only the white male patriarchy. It should be for everybody. Anybody who wants to rape and pillage should be able to rape and pillage. And that is what wife carrying means to me. Steph, what do you think of this?
I'm flashed. Yeah, well, rape in this time of age, is that normal? Are we still in the Viking time where we have to go abroad to do that? Or how in general? Like, whoa. I mean, Are you progressive?
Let's look at it a different way. So this was well over 10 years ago. So I was young, right? I was fit. I was still learning about myself. I was learning about my body, right? I was learning about my place in the world. And I used to dress provocatively back in those days, right? Either I'd be wearing a very tight t-shirt. I would oftentimes wear tank tops. You saw me choking that other woman in that video. Like, I had pretty nice looking arms, I would say. Like, those are nice arms, right? Oftentimes I wouldn't even be wearing a shirt. Why would I wear a shirt? I had this great body. But the issue is this: did I bring it on myself? By dressing like a tramp and getting drunk, did I bring that on myself? And I don't know if I did. There's been a lot of therapy since then. I've taken a lot of drugs, both prescribed and unprescribed, right? I've drank a lot since then. And also in the meantime, I married a very strong woman who now will protect me and will protect my honor. So if I'm ever in this situation again where somebody wants to do mommy and daddy things to me, I have my real life mommy who's going to mess them up. And I'm looking at you, Stefanie. You better do this. Would you step up and protect me if somebody tried to do mommy and daddy things to me, or daddy and daddy things, or he, she, it, they things to me against my will?
For sure, I would definitely protect you. But also, when I'm not there, you have the ring, which protects you, right? Because you have, thank you, that's it, to show them that you are mine. So, yes, I will protect you from every evil, for sure.
Also, since then, I found Jesus. And there is a very interesting line from the Bible, which I've kind of manipulated to fit my situation a little bit better. And it goes something like this: although I am carried through the shadow of the valley of death, I fear no evil, for Stefanie is carrying me. Stefanie is carrying me through the shadow of evil, through that valley. And for me, this is, it's kind of Jesus and Stefanie together, and I feel very wholesome and I feel protected. And that is part of the reason why I married Stefanie. She was the biggest, strongest woman that I could find in life. And she is a giant. She is a Finnish rowing champion. Thank you. She has won the Sulkava rowing championship. If you don't know what that is, it's fucking miserable. Imagine 60 kilometers of rowing, and Stefanie is the best in the world. Thank you. And she protects me. And yes, this woman at this race did dirty, dirty things to me against my will while I was intoxicated. That the intoxication part was not against my will. Okay, so like I said, back in those days, I used to drink a lot voluntarily, and I thought this woman was my friend, and she was giving me drinks, and like everything was cool. I didn't realize there was a price. I didn't realize there was a price to pay. And this is no different than Harvey Weinstein being a fucking savage. Chicks going in there to audition for roles in movies. They think, you know, oh, he seems like a nice guy, and then he does dirty things to them. I am a victim. I am a victim, but I refuse to be victimized. And that is why I now have Stefanie to mess up a chick if she wants to mess with me, and I have my ring. And I can say, fuck off, because Stefanie will kill you. So thank you, Stefanie. I feel safe.
You're welcome.
Yeah. And again, I think it's a testament to how beautiful wife carrying is, because I don't know if this could happen in other sports. Right? I'm trying to think of like let's say basketball, okay? Like Los Angeles Laker cheerleader. Like could a bunch of the cheerleaders sneak into the locker room of like the LA Lakers and rape a bunch of the players? I don't know. I don't know if that's a thing. But what I can tell you is that in wife carrying, it is, and that's what makes our sport so damn beautiful. Are those tears of joy coming down your eyes? Diversity, equity, inclusion. Make sure you're unmuted if you're going to say something.
You just, no, I can't remember what I wanted to say, but it's a tough sport. Seems like really tough. Yeah.
All right, I'm getting a little emotional. I'm sorry. Yes. But those days are behind us now. But I think what I want to say as a wife-carrying Hall of Fame member to all the women out there is yes, I'm here to stick up for you. Yes, you can. You can rape and pillage. Just like a Viking 1,000 years ago, you can do it. You can also be a sleazy rapist. You can be a sleazy molester. Women of the world, you can do this. And you can get dudes drunk and you can take advantage of them. And that is a beautiful thing in the sport of wife carrying. And I don't give a damn what the religious right says. I don't give a damn what the MAGA right says. That anybody on this planet, no matter who they are, what color they are, what gender they are, how they identify, they can rape just as good as any white male. Okay? So screw you, MAGA. I'm holding my progressive views, and y'all can go to hell. Any other thoughts on this before we move on to the next topic, which is extremely critical? No. Thank you. Thank you for listening to me. Thank you for letting me share that horrific story. There we go. Okay. Tissues. The third and final segment of today's show is Olympics 2028. Will wife carrying be a sport in the 2028 Olympics? My answer is yes. And I am petitioning hard for this. We have lobbyists, we have sponsors, and we are driving this into LA 28. Okay? We just talked about the diversity, equity, inclusion, and the wokeness that is inherent in the sport of wife carrying. And I can't think of a better place for that to play out than Los Angeles. Los Angeles 2028. But we need to change some of the rules. Okay, so I don't want this just to be about, a person carrying a person over, this traditional obstacle course, has logs, has some water, has something like that. We need to make it very, very like LA based. So, Steph, we lived in Venice for 6 years, and there was a lot of great stuff in Venice. Right? One of my favorite things in Venice was all of the human feces on the sidewalks, on the streets. Okay, like for me, when I think of Venice, I think of that like hot, steamy poop on a sidewalk, like on a warm summer day, right? Like, and you kind of dodge that. You're like, whoa, I almost stepped in that. Was it a dog poop or was it a human poop? No, it was probably a human poop, because most of the people with dogs will pick up their poop. But most people who poop on the street do not clean up their own poop. That's a fact. That's a fact. So for the wife-carrying race at the 28 Olympics in LA, we're going to set this thing up on Venice Beach. It is actually going to be on the sand in the beach. And the first obstacle for the team to jump over is going to be a mound of homeless people poop. Okay. And I'm serious. This is going to be great for the homeless community. It's going to finally give them the kind of recognition that they deserve. They're going to get a job from this, because what we're going to do is actually pay them every time they poop. And they bring the poop to the the International Olympic Committee Center in LA, and they hand over their poop, and they don't actually get paid. They get heroin in return. It's a little bit of a double-edged sword. It's controversial because heroin doesn't really help poop. It actually backs you up. But we're also going to give them tacos. Hey, well, no, LA has really good tacos. LA has some of the best Tex-Mex food you'll find anywhere in the world. So there's going to be the taco, the burrito thing, which is going to help them poop more. The heroin will block them up, but when they're going through withdrawal, then it's like, like the poop will all come out. So we're going to get the homeless fed in LA. Okay, so that's the first obstacle. Okay, then the second obstacle is there's going to be the water trench. Okay, but lined along the sides of the water trench, there are going to be used hypodermic needles. Okay, so no, it's going to be like a death match that the two couples go in there together. They're going to be like nudging each other, pushing and shit, right? And like, oh, whoever gets jammed on the needles, like, well, they could die of AIDS. Like, we don't know, but it's not my problem because this is going to be good for TV. This is going to be good for publicity for the city. This is going to be great. NBC's ratings are going to go through the fucking roof for this, right? Because we have friends who have literally stepped on needles at Venice Beach and had to get rushed to the hospital. They stepped, let me say that again. You're at the beach, you're hanging out for the day with your significant other, your he, she, it, they, whatever. You're enjoying a beautiful day at the beach. It's sunny, it's warm, there are little waves rolling in. You're like, oh, let's go down to the water and do a little splashies. And you get up and you walk down there and you're like, oh, I just stepped on a needle. This is great. And it's like, welcome to LA. Welcome to LA. It's a beautiful thing. So that needs to be part of the wife carrying race. So obstacle number one, we have the human poop, which also makes sure that the homeless people get fed. Two, we have the needles. And there, of course, there's going to be a needle exchange program for the junkies. You know, they can take their dirty needles, bring them, turn them in, and they get clean ones in return. So that's a good thing. And then the needles go towards a good purpose. And then the third obstacle, which I think is perhaps the most special, and it's really going to touch another group. It's actually going to be into the water itself at Venice Beach, and then you come out. But this is the key. The day before the contest, there's going to be an oil spill. So the runners go into the water, which is full of oil from an oil spill. You might remember that might have happened a couple of times in the greater LA area. So there's going to be some oil. There's going to be nasty ass water. People will go into it. It's like they'll get it in their mouth. It's like, oh, are they going to get leukemia? Like, we don't know. Like, that's going to be the fun thing, that there will be stories for years to come. Like, did somebody get an infection from the poop? Did somebody get AIDS from the needles? And now did somebody get leukemia from drinking the oil-contaminated beach water? And then the contestants just kind of finish it off and, you know, they run across the finish line. And it's great, right? You know, the tech companies are all down there on Venice Beach, so they could be one of the big sponsors for this. You know, Facebook, Google, I don't know who it could be, but one of them. And they're going to do a great job. This is going to be absolutely fantastic. So, yeah, please.
So what will be the prize then? Just the Olympic medal, or do they get something special then for that, running that special obstacle course? I'm just wondering, maybe I want to join, maybe not, depending on what the winners would get.
That's a really good question. I feel like for California, there needs to be a special prize, right? So we have human feces from the homeless, we have the needles, we have contaminated beach water. Traditionally, the prize is the woman's weight in beer, right? But if we're being honest, alcohol consumption isn't as hot and trendy as it used to be. You know, cannabis, of course, that's huge in LA. Like that's almost cliche. I think we need to be looking forward for this. What if the winners get the woman's weight in mushrooms? Ooh. Yeah, magic mushrooms. God damn, I would do that. The prize is the woman's weight in mushrooms. And then you set the woman up on a teeter-totter, a seesaw, on one end, and then you just load up bags of hallucinogenic mushrooms on the other side.
So you will be more or less, you have mushrooms for your lifetime then, because that's quite a lot if you think about the 50-kilo wife, for example.
You know, you can, there's no rule on how you have to use them. You could just have a hell of a fucking party, right? Like, you know, you just invite all your friends over, you give them to everybody else. Maybe you sell them to the homeless people because they didn't make any money off, you know, their poop. They only got burritos and tacos. So, maybe that they, because they're probably going to rob a lot of the tourists who are there for the Olympics. So they're going to have a lot of extra cash. There's going to be a lot of extra cash in that homeless community when they're shanking people on the beach, when they're robbing people, armed robberies. Like, I would view them as a really good market just to sell the mushrooms to afterwards. Yeah. No, I think this makes the most sense. And again, we're just doing something else for the homeless people in LA. And the city has spent billions on the homeless people, and they haven't solved the problem, which is good. Because you just want to keep pumping money into that ecosystem because, because your friends probably own some of the companies that are taking those billions of dollars. So you don't want to stop that because that's not cool. Like, these people are your friends. What, are you going to stop giving your friends billions of dollars? What kind of asshole are you? Yeah, thank you. Thank you. That's not what we do. So we're just going to continue to raise taxes in LA. We're going to take that money, give it to the people who aren't solving the homeless problem, but we're going to give to the homeless people, the burritos and tacos, needle exchange program, and then we're going to sell them the mushrooms. Let them sell the mushrooms. There are a lot of different ways that we could run this, but I think mushrooms are the way to go because we're very forward thinking.
Do you think there's something else instead of mushrooms? Because you are already that forward thinking, actually. So maybe there could be something else instead of mushrooms because, okay, those are some kind of drugs anyway. So maybe there would be something better than even getting mushrooms. I don't know. Freeze your body when you're a certain age, or I don't know. Who knows? Starting to be creative a little bit more.
Fentanyl. Fentanyl is always nice, right? Everybody loves fentanyl. Even the people who die like it because they probably die with a smile on their face. They feel good. They're euphoric. And I think that's important. What else could we do? What about remember the story we heard about the woman who had her dog stolen by a homeless person and brought into their tent? Maybe what we could offer as a prize would be stolen dogs. So whoever wins gets a stolen dog from the homeless people in LA. That's something novel. Like, that could also touch on like the animal rescue people, right? Because we have the environment people, right? So, we're going to give a shout out to the contaminated water and the shitty beaches, right? We have the drug community. We have the feces community. Like, we're giving a shout, like we have sponsors from, tacos and burritos. Why don't we do something for animal shelters too? So the stolen pets can become the prize.
Yes, for example. Or I remember actually when you were training a couple of years ago for wife carrying that there was a shooting while you were training. So maybe organize some kind of shooting while you're working out might be something as well.
That's right. And I love LA. I hope none of this sounds disparaging about LA because LA is fun, right? Like, we live in Finland right now and it's kind of boring. It's kind of boring. We do wife carrying. We go to the grocery store, go to work. But in LA, that's right. There was one night I was at the gym, and this was in Venice, right on Lincoln Boulevard, very close to the Whole Foods there. If anybody has been to LA, knows where that is. And I'm training at a gym outdoors, and all of a sudden I hear pop, pop, pop. Huh, that's kind of weird. Is it the 4th of July? Is it Independence Day and those are fireworks? Like, what's going on here? Pop, pop. Oh, no, there's a shooting. There's a shooting right there in the middle of Lincoln Boulevard. My bad. So we all run indoors and we have to barricade ourselves in the gym while this shooting on the street just kind of, I don't know, goes away. I guess maybe somebody got killed, so there was no need to shoot anymore. I don't know the details. I didn't go outside to ask. I just figured it was better if I wasn't involved. But luckily, we did have a hedge of bushes between us and the shooters. So I'm quite sure that like a little shrubbery was going to protect us from the bullets. So actually, I felt pretty safe and pretty happy overall. So you're right, Steph. Let's get back to the topic of the prize here. Kevlar vests for the winner, ammunition, maybe cases of ammunition, 9mm, like that. Everybody needs 9mm rounds, so that could be good. It just gives us a chance to sponsor more, to get more sponsors, right? Glock could be a good sponsor. Kevlar. There are so many possibilities here, and I can't wait for the IOC to invite me in to have this discussion. Because like I said, we are pitching the IOC for LA 28 to get wife carrying made an official sport. And I have a lot of good ideas. There are a lot of good ideas. And I even have a suggestion for a commentator. And I met this man. He is a wife-carrying legend in his own right. I met him at the 2005 Wife-Carrying World Championships. Who is it? The one and only Dennis Rodman. Yes, Dennis Rodman attended the 2005 Wife-Carrying World Championships in Finland. And he was so damn cool. I don't care what anybody says about him. I don't care about the media. I don't care about anything. Dennis Rodman was a cool guy. He showed up at the race. He did exactly what he was going to do for the press. He carried that young girl to his right over the race course. He sat around for the press conference afterwards, and he was absolutely awesome. He was humble. He was kind. He was happy to be there. And he said a lot of positive things about the people of Finland. So, for example, one of the things Dennis Rodman said about the Finns and the people at the race was that they gave him a lot of space, that they were just nice to him. And the reason for that, of course, is that Dennis Rodman, and somebody might need to check this, but in 2005, Dennis Rodman was the first black man to ever visit Finland. So it was just that the Finns had never seen a black person before. So they were pretty nervous. And this isn't that Finns are inherently racist or something like that. This is just that, like, they were confused. Like, they had seen it on TV. They didn't know if it was real, some Hollywood thing like, oh, there are people that don't look like us somewhere in the world. That's impossible. But then Dennis Rodman shows up and they're like, whoa, what is this? So yeah, Dennis Rodman was the first black man to ever visit Finland, and that was in 2005. And I met him, and he was cool as hell. So Dennis Rodman already has this wife-carrying experience. So I think he should probably be the NBC commentator in the 28 Olympics, and that's going to be part of our pitch package.
That sounds great. I think you did your work, actually. You were like really researching everything. Pretty good.
And I actually want to take this one step further, because Dennis Rodman is trying to find peace in North Korea. I think Dennis Rodman could do the same thing with Vladimir Putin. Now, hear me out. So imagine that next year, 2025, on the 20th anniversary of Dennis Rodman participating in wife carrying, he comes back to Sankajärvi. Okay? And we invite Vladimir Putin to also come to Sankajärvi for wife carrying. And the two of them sit down and start negotiating peace. Now, you might think this is impossible, but I want you to see the shirt that I'm wearing right now. And you'll notice that Vladimir Putin is featured here. So is George Bush. But this is a wife-carrying shirt. This is a wife-carrying race where all of those world leaders were participating in wife-carrying. And they were battling for the freedom of the world. So don't look at me like, oh, this is impossible, John. You're a dreamer. Like I'm John Lennon. Oh, you're a dreamer. Oh, Don't fall in love with a dreamer. No, I'm falling in love with dreams because I see a way to bring peace. I see a way to bring peace, and it's through wife carrying. This is a woke sport. It's a DEI sport. It is open to everybody, male, female, black, white, rapist, non-rapist. Anybody can do this sport. And I invite Vladimir Putin to come to Wife Carrying 2025 and sit down with Dennis Rodman and find peace. Find a solution. You can do this. Wife carrying can do this. Wife carrying is the road to peace. And there are going to be doubters out there. There are going to be haters out there. And that's fine. My whole life, I've been going against the tide. I've been swimming against the tide. And I don't care. I've been breaking stereotypes my entire life. I got carried by a woman at a wife carrying race. Oh, yeah. Okay, you want to talk a little bit more about DEI? All right, let's do it. Let's do it. Because I think you people don't understand. I think people don't understand. Yeah. Exactly. I was also the first drag queen to do wife carrying. So fuck you, haters. Fuck you. Yeah, that is my beautiful husband, Stefanie, on my back. And I was in drag. And I was making the world a better place. If Vladimir Putin had been at this race this particular year, I could have negotiated peace. Now, Dennis, that has nothing to do with you, buddy. You can still come here. Dennis Rodman can negotiate peace in Sankeyarvi. But if it had happened this particular year, this war in Ukraine would be over. It would be fucking over. Because that big drag bitch would have negotiated peace. I would have looked Vladimir Putin right in the eyes and said, hey, mister, you got to stop this right now. You are not being nice. And I swear to sweet baby Jesus in heaven, who I've found recently, I will fuck you up. And I'm married now, too. Yeah. So if this big bitch doesn't fuck you up, my other one will. And she nasty. She nasty. She claws and stuff. She claws. Yeah. I slap, but she claws. She's a kitty cat. Meow, meow, meow. That's my wife. That's my wife. She'll fuck you up. Yeah. I didn't want to go on a Trump rant, but I feel like I need to now. And it's because at this particular race, while I am in drag, and it's difficult to see here, but I did have socks for titties. I did have socks in my dirndl, pushing up my big titties. Some dude came up to me after the race. Yeah, you remember this. You know where I'm going. Some dude came up to me after the race and said, "You are American. You voted for Donald Trump. Fuck you." And I'm dressed like this. I'm a goddamn drag queen. Like, I never saw like the drag coalition for Trump. I don't know if that's a thing. But for some reason, this guy had it in his head that the person who looks like this voted for Donald Trump. That a drag queen was out there voting for Donald Trump. And maybe some drag queens did vote for Donald Trump. I don't know. But they're probably prettier ones than this. Like, look at my makeup. It's a goddamn mess. It's a wreck. I look like a fucking... like not even drunk. Like, I don't know what that is. Like, that's a sloppy, like, drugged up wife carrying tranny. And that, I guess that's what I am. But, you know, and obviously if you're looking at this, you know, it's not a stretch to think like I probably deserve to be raped at some point in my life. Like, if I'm walking around like this, like a whore, all made up, looking pretty like that, look at those eyelashes. Oh my God, I'm so nasty. I'm so nasty. You married that. You married that. That is all yours. How lucky are you? But the point is that this lunatic thought this guy voted for Donald Trump, and he was angry at me because Donald Trump wasn't even president at this time. It was during the Biden presidency, but he was still so angry that Trump was ever president that it was somehow my fault. And that's one of the great things about being American abroad. No matter what's going on in the US, it's your fault. So it could be something great that's going on. Like when Clinton was president, like it was awesome being an American abroad. Like everybody loved you because Clinton was like playing the saxophone and he was like charming and stuff. And, you know, he was getting the occasional blowjob from Monica Lewinsky and he was on Epstein's Island and all of that. But like that, it doesn't matter. Like he could play the saxophone and that was the most important thing. It was cool to be an American abroad when Clinton was president. However, when Bush took over and when Bush started bombing everything that he could see, it was no longer cool. But like I was still the same guy. I was still the same drag queen inside. I was still the same closeted whatever I am nowadays. But I was just an American abroad. And I guess in this, I'm actually a broad. Like I'm just like, I'm a chick. But yeah. Anyway, so in case anybody is wondering, maybe you could write it in the comments below. If there is a tranny coalition for Trump, please let me know about it because I'd like to join. I would like to join. Trannies for Trump. And that's me, and I'm very proud of that. So, thank you. Steph?
You're a good tranny. You're so good. Yes, I'm speechless. And you brought me to tears. Really.
Bless your heart. All right, let's do this. Let's hop into our sponsor for today. Who's our sponsor today? Do you have any idea? Maybe you could say their name. Tell me who today's sponsor is.
Bead Per Bead. Whoa.
Bead Per Bead. Right here on Instagram. You need to follow them on Instagram. If you are not following Bead Per Bead, there's something wrong with you. There is something wrong with you. Let me start by asking you a question. When you go out, do you like to look like a filthy whore? The answer is probably no, isn't it? The answer for me is also no. When I go out, I like to look classy. I don't wear jewelry from Target or Walmart. And let me tell you something about jewelry from places like Target and Walmart. It's all made in sweatshops in places like Bangladesh and other third world countries. They're using child labor. Every time you buy even fun-looking jewelry from one of those places, a child dies. A child dies because they get the order, oh, time to make more jewelry, and the kids are trying to throw themselves out the window. They're like, no, please, no more jewelry. No, my little fingers can't do it anymore. And then there's like the slave master whipping them. And the slave master, sorry, religious right, it's probably not even a white dude, right? It's probably not a white dude because not all slave masters are going to be white dudes. Fuck you, MAGA. That's just the way it is. There are plenty of good slave masters all around the world who are managing child labor who are not white male Christians. So this is not a space that you own. I am very progressive. Anybody can manage child labor. I feel very strong about this, I'm sorry. The point is that when I go out, I like to look like a classy broad. That's why I wear my Bead Per Bead ring. And I wear it on my trigger finger. And this jewelry is made with love. It's made with love by true artists. It's made by passionate people. It's made by somebody who's sitting across from me at this table right now. Look at that. In the last week, we've seen earrings. Look at these earrings. Custom designs made just for you. When you buy these, not one child will die. No. Instead, what you'll do is you'll be feeding a family in Finland. Every euro you spend goes towards food in Finland for a family. Food, Finland, family. Fa, fa, fa. Fa, fa, fa. So go to Bead Per Bead. Take a look. Reach out to them. And when you're ready to invest in a beautiful piece of jewelry that'll last a lifetime. Tell them Fun with Lund sent you and get that 10% discount. Get that 10, you might be able to negotiate more. 15. Steph, maybe they would even go as high as to 20. I don't know. Their CEO is a fucking tyrant, actually. But we don't know. We don't know. But the point is, tell them Fun with Lund sent you. And I promise you, no children are going to die. But a family will be fed. Steph, that's all I got for this week. Anything you want to share about wife carrying, the Olympics, DEI, wokeness, Dennis Rodman?
No, I think that's a hell of a story. It's pretty awesome. What we heard, like wife carrying starting to be an Olympic game, sounds good to me. I wonder why it was not, why they didn't start that earlier. But yeah, no, everything sounds good. There's not that much what I would say anymore because you did a hell of a job.
We're going to close with one quick video. I think not everybody out there realizes how athletic my wife is. We talked about some of the racing, we talked about some of these things, but I just want to show this clip to show what a world-class athlete Stefanie Weisseisen-Lund is. Don't look surprised. You know that you're a world-class athlete. Don't fuck with me. You ready? You ready, baby? Who's the best athlete ever? Yeah. Watch this. Watch her spring.
Oh.
World-class athlete right there. On that note, let's get out of here.
So we say, fuck this place.